What else was on the WB back then? What else did I miss?
You probably saw the Wayans brothers, right?
Yeah.
The Jamie Foxx show. Come on now, Craig. Come on, Craig. You know the Jamie Foxx show?
No.
You know
This is Sunday Karma, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue. Here's GKB founder and CEO, Craig Karmazin.
The lakefront in downtown Milwaukee is painted orange on this Sunday morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin, live from Walk MS Milwaukee 2025, live from the Summerfest grounds. No Craig Karmazin today. No Greg Scalzo today. No Kyle Wallace today. Alex Strofe will be here momentarily. Producer Will Summers on the ones and twos. But off the top, cousin sub of the day, Brian Z. And once again, we are live from the Summerfest grounds for Walk MS Milwaukee 2025, empowering lives and creating a future without MS. You hear the countdown going on right now. That is the voice of Alex Strofe, who is emceeing this event at the Summerfest grounds. And that's where we need to start today as Walk MS gets underway. Folks streaming by to do a 1 or 3 mile course here at Summerfest. I want to loop in Will Summers here, our producer, who, by the way, graduated from Concordia University, Wisconsin yesterday. Congratulations, Will. I need to take you inside Alex Strofe's morning here. So this is a phenomenal event. There are over 2,000 people here for Walk MS Milwaukee. And Alex Strofe is the MC of the event. So what that means is he was just on stage here at Summerfest in front of 2,000 people, leading the event, doing the countdown for the walk, starting the whole thing. And naturally, he was a little bit nervous, right? Anybody, regardless of if they're a radio host, whatever they do for a living, when you put somebody in front of 2,000 people on a stage at Summerfest, there's going to be some nerves there. So I got here this morning to set up the broadcast, and Strofe tells me, yo, I'm a little bit nervous. I need to talk to 2,000 people. I'm like, Alex, you're great at this. You were at the NFL draft talking to Matthew Golden last week. You were on stage in front of 500 people at the Tundra Trio. You're going to do fine. I spent my whole morning from 8:30 until 9:45 when the program started calming this dude's nerves. So about 10 minutes before he goes on stage, Strofe says, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm like, cool, sounds good. I'm sitting here, I'm sipping coffee, I'm talking to Will, getting ready for Sunday Karma. Strofe comes back. He's wearing khaki pants. And I'm going to let him tell the rest of the story as he sits down here at Walk MS Milwaukee 2025. Alex Strofe.
Good morning.
Take us inside what happened to your pants 10 minutes before you went on stage.
Well, you see, Brian, so we're at Summerfest, as I'm sure you've mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much uses the sinks are getting between, I don't know, say, July and May, outside of a few, events here and there.
One-off concerts. They'll do
Sure.
a big concert at the AmFam Insurance Amphitheater in September, October. But you're right, throughout the wintertime, not a lot of usage happening.
So, lack of a better term, the sink I went to threw a fit, multi-directional, and it landed, it's some of my shirt, but also just like brutal placement. I had a big splash, I don't know, maybe 3 inches above my knee.
You look like you peed your pants.
It looked like quite the leakage.
10 minutes before you went on stage in
Yes.
front of 2,000 people.
So here's what I did. I went behind the stage, and there was a great area with a picnic table with sun on it. I sat on top of the picnic table, and I spread my legs, and it dried out. So it was good. I think I texted you with about 4 minutes to spare.
Now,
Hey, we're dry, we're good to go.
You did have a podium.
I did.
That was able to block your pants a little bit, but it is a clear podium.
Yes.
And again, there's 2,000 people looking at you from all angles. So you are happy to inform us that you dried out before you got on stage and counted down Walk MS here. You're
Yes.
good to go?
I'm good to go, man. We're ready to roll. We're going to have a great show for you today until noon. Brian D here, Alex Strofe here. Did you get into Giannis, or were you just making fun of me off the top?
No, we were just talking about how you look like you peed your pants right off the top. But we will get into Giannis. We will get into Jordan Love, the revitalized Green Bay Packers offense all day today.
Yes, we will.
Let's start with Giannis because...
Can we get to Will first?
Yeah, let's get to Will. Go ahead.
Will Summers, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Oh, no, he sounds awful.
As he should, though. As he should. So I did allude to this right off the top before Strophe joined us here. Will Summers, our producer, graduated from CUW yesterday. Concordia University of Wisconsin, class of 2025. Congratulations, Will. I did stop by to congratulate Will before I left the office on Friday. And I said, don't hit it too hard. But I feel like that's kind of an obligation when you graduate college to hit it as hard as you possibly can, and that's not what Will's voice normally sounds like. He's a little gravelly this morning. Will, are you doing okay? Like where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 this morning?
I feel pretty good, actually. The only thing that sucks is I left my debit card at a bar, so I got to go figure that out today, and I'm not hyped about that at all.
Did you leave your voice at the same bar?
I don't know. I think I sound fine. Do I not sound okay?
I don't. No, you sound like you smoked a pack of ciggies last night, which no judgment if you did.
No, I did.
But that's
I'm trying to sound enthusiastic, so it's surprising that I don't sound good right now. It's tough.
What do you think leave the extra 40% tip or whatever they charge when you leave your debit card at a bar aside? What do you think the bar tab was last night?
Last night, I don't know. I usually keep it open, or I usually close it right away, but they had a $15 minimum, so I kept it open, and then I just forgot it there, which was the problem. I'd say under $100, though. I had a lot of people buying me some drinks, too, because it was the graduation celebrating, so not too bad.
Okay. All right.
Kept
that's all I had.
It low.
That's all you had for Will?
That's all I had for Will. I'm glad he's here and awake and all that good stuff.
Let's shift from Will Summers to Giannis Antetokounmpo, because I think that is where we need to start today. Obviously, the Bucks saw their season come to an unceremonious end on Tuesday evening this week. They were up 7, and then they weren't, and the season ended. And then John Halliburton stormed onto the floor. And I feel like, Alex, the way that the game ended kind of overshadowed what the storyline should have been, which is, was that Giannis's last game as a Milwaukee Buck? And the conversation, I believe, starting now and into this week is going to shift to that, because Giannis Watch 2025 really gets underway for me Tuesday night.
Yep.
Because the NBA draft lottery is going to take place Tuesday night, and there are 2 teams with multiple lottery picks that I think will insert themselves immediately into the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes as soon as the ping pong balls settle on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think teams are certainly going to look into it, because that's just going to be the commentary. It's going to be the discussion this NBA offseason. Look, I've said it all week. I'll say it again today. If I had to put my money somewhere, and I saw some odds, I don't remember what sportsbook it was from last night, the Milwaukee Bucks plus 125, the favorite to land Giannis Antetokounmpo's services in 2025. That would be the bet I would make, because unlike many superstars in this modern era, I think you actually can use blind loyalty as an argument point for why Giannis would be back in Milwaukee. Now, do I understand the commentary more this time than I have in past years? Of course, right? I mean, the future's bleak for the Milwaukee Bucks. There's no draft capital. Damian Lillard's going to be out all of next season, if not into the postseason next year. And as we've learned, if you don't have a healthy Dame and Giannis over the course of the last 2 years, you ain't getting very far. You might get to the postseason. You ain't getting much further than that, though. And that's the part that makes me go, oh, boy. Why would Giannis stick it out? But I go back to, he built this team. He has the decision-making power. He's essentially, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way or a rude way, he's quasi-GM here. And while maybe the Utah Jazz, for example, Brian, could land the number 1 overall pick and package, some first-round picks in a trade for Giannis, I don't know that Giannis is walking into Utah with the pep in his step that he does each day in Milwaukee. So we'll see. I think there are certainly conversations to be had, like there was with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers a couple of years ago, of does it make sense for both of us to change this scenery? The things to keep in mind with Giannis, he's only 30 years old. He's playing some of the best basketball we've ever seen him play in his storied career right now. And Well, that's about it.
So here's what makes me nervous, and everything you just said is completely valid. I am not willing to accept blind loyalty as a reason for Giannis sticking around. The reason I'm not willing to accept that is past experience. I've lived in Milwaukee for 15 years now. This is home.
Mm-hmm.
I spent middle school and high school in Cleveland, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved to Milwaukee in the summer of 2010 from Cleveland to come to Marquette University. What happened in the NBA in the summer of 2010?
That would be the decision, right?
Yes. And the widely accepted argument for why LeBron James was not going to leave Cleveland was blind loyalty. It was, he's a native son. He grew up in our backyard in Akron. There's no way he is going to go on national television and kick us all in the teeth and say, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. And that's exactly what he did. Now, it's not apples to apples. LeBron was a free agent, right?
Yep.
And they did end up executing a sign and trade, so the Cavaliers got something back for him. But the organization had no power in that situation. The Bucks do have a little power and control here, right? Ultimately, it's going to be Giannis's decision what happens, but the Bucks can dictate the terms of it in a way that LeBron couldn't. But that's the reason I'm not willing to accept blind loyalty, is because arguably the most loyal connection you could possibly come up with in the history of the NBA said, screw you, I'm going on television in a purple checkered shirt and kicking you in the teeth.
I like that you referenced the shirt that's all burned into our brain because what a moment that was back in 2010. But I think the difference between, say, Giannis and LeBron is I don't think Giannis has an interest in going elsewhere to build a super team, right? I think, and by no means can the Bucks build a super team this offseason. That's not the argument I'm making. I think when you look at some of the best examples of guys Giannis has interacted with or, worked out with or looked up to, you have two examples of guys that stuck out their entire career in one spot, right? Dirk Nowitzki obviously being the overseas one, and a guy that mentored Giannis and trained with Giannis and Giannis looked up to in the late Kobe Bryant, who played his entire career in Los Angeles, albeit a draft night trade, but in Los Angeles. Yep. I think when you look at those two examples primarily is they didn't go through every year was championship level team, right? I mean, they went through some bad years. Now, the NBA is obviously in a very different spot than it was in the mid-2000s, early 2010s with those two examples. But I think Giannis can look at Milwaukee and go, all right, who can we bring back? Who's a logical Brook Lopez replacement / upgrade, right? Is there a Naz Reid availability there? Next year might not be all sunshines and rainbows.
That is what the Milwaukee Bucks are going to have to sell Giannis on to keep him. Yeah. Is they're going to have to be extremely honest and say, we're not going to be as good next year. We're just not going to be, but you are going to have to be the guy. And you can appeal to his ego in some sense there and go out and get your third MVP award, brother.
But I don't think it's the Bucks necessarily that need to sell. I think it might be more so the Bucks are the ones that need to be sold. They're the ones who, I don't want to say have all the power, because obviously if Giannis goes public and asks for a trade, right, upper hand Giannis. But I think the part we're missing in all of this commentary about if it's Giannis' last game in Milwaukee, is his career with the Bucks over? I think the part we're missing is the Bucks are going to need to kind of kickstart this conversation, right? They're going to be the ones that sit down at the table and say, hey, Giannis, we think it'd be best for both of us. It allows us to regain some draft capital. It makes our future life after you a little less bleak if we move on from you at age 30, say at age 34.
I think it's completely the other way around. I think the Bucks are going to go in and say, dude's under contract. We're not trading the two-time MVP and NBA champion, right? So whenever this exit meeting happens, and this is the ridiculous thing about the story so far, Alex, this exit meeting, like it's been reported by the Shamses of the world and the Windies of the world that, Giannis is going to meet with the Bucks and talk about the future. They do that every year.
Just an exit interview, yep.
So in that meeting, the Bucks are going to have the conversation you and I just did and say, look, next year is going to suck. You can probably carry this team to a lower playoff seed, but we're probably not contending for an NBA championship in 2026. Beyond that, we can rework this thing, but we need you to be a little bit patient. And that is going to be the moment of truth where Giannis says, I'm willing to accept that or demand a trade. And I don't think the Bucks are going to be okay with being the ones that say we are going to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo to recapture our future. They're going to put the ball in Giannis's court and say, all right, you want to be traded? You need to go out publicly and say you want to be traded. And that is going to be an interesting moment because Giannis's entire life has been loyalty, humility, this ethos of I take care of my family, I take care of the people that are closest to me. The Bucks have been that, right? And that is going to thrust him into a role that he has never been in before, and that role is villain.
Yep.
And then if he does that, the Bucks still have all the power because they can say, you want to be traded, but we need to get what we need to get out of this deal, so we are going to send you to a place and absolutely gouge the team we're sending you to in every way possible. So it's a tricky situation, and I think it is right now advantage Milwaukee Bucks because they can sell him on the loyalty. They can sell him on take a back year, be the MVP, and we'll revitalize for 2027. And if he decides to be the villain, then they put that on him and gouge him for all that he's worth.
And now here's the thing, to your point. This would have to get to a point, I'm totally with you, on Giannis needs to go public with it.
Yep.
But he needs to publicly request a trade. He can't just say to John Horst or whoever's in the room, hey, I want out. They're going to say, okay, go ahead, work on that. Giannis ain't the type of guy to go on his Instagram story and explain why he's requesting a trade from Milwaukee.
Call Jim Gray into town and get him a purple checkered shirt and let him do it on
Is that who did
television.
that? That was Jim Gray?
It was Jim Gray.
That man's everywhere.
It was weird, too. They did it at a Boys and Girls Club in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Yes.
Which was very odd. The whole thing was bizarre. But you're right. I don't see Giannis doing that. Maybe he does it on the Analysis show. That would be a good place to do it.
That would be a good place to do it, but I would prefer if he doesn't do it.
I agree. So I think what we need to lob up here, Alex, is do you think Giannis has the stones to publicly demand a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks?
No.
800-990-3776 is the phone number to get in. He's certainly got the stones to do it, but I don't think it fits with his ethos. I think he is going to ride in and ride out with the horse that he came in with, and we'll see where that leads in 2027. And if he becomes a free agent and decides at that point that he wants to leave, then so be it, because he'd be a free agent and he'd be well within his right. And he owes this city and this organization nothing.
Nothing.
But I think he is going to at least ride out the contract and see if they can get it right in 2027.
I didn't think the first question of our day today would be about Giannis's stones.
Does Giannis have the stones? It's never been questioned before, but it's legitimate now.
It's not that he doesn't have the stones. I don't think it's in his DNA, right? So we will see. I certainly think, the next couple of weeks / months, and obviously with this Tuesday being a big date, it will be interesting to see everything he says because, in our job, Brian, right? I've been with Good Karma about 4.5 years in total. We've been so wired about the Packers quarterback, right? Aaron Rodgers. What does he say? What's he saying on McAfee? What is he telling this person? Dude, I'm going to have to learn Greek because I'm going to be having to translate the tabloids, listening to anything he says when he gets home. I'm excited for Giannis watch. I'm also excited to see if we get to a point in the next week where Giannis just goes, stop this. Right? I'm going to be in Milwaukee, but I don't know if it's that quick.
There are two teams that I'm most nervous about. The ping pong balls bouncing their way on Tuesday night. I want to tell you who they are coming up next.
More Sunday Karma coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. With Wilde and Tausch, you won't miss a play.
And now, unless there's a big boy trade coming that I don't see on the horizon, Green Bay is going to run this thing back and probably pick up an early round draft pick to add to that room.
Presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
And you hope that these other guys will emerge and can add, but I don't see them making a J.R. Ewing type change.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN, ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel, and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Fisco is always there for your auto body care. When accidents happen, Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home in Franklin is there when you need them. Got a broken mirror? They'll take care of it. Dented bumper? Scratch paint? Fisco Auto Body will take care of it. If there's any damage you need fixed, Fisco has you covered. Their expert workmanship is guaranteed for the life of your vehicle. So stop in for all of your auto bumps and dings. Once again, you know the line. That's Fisco.
It's a home run. But wait, is your roof ready for the big league storms? If your roof has more holes than a catcher's mitt, it's time to bring in the pros.
At Avondale Roofing, we've been handling leaks, repairs, and full replacements with major league precision for over 30 years.
Whether it's a quick patch-up or full upgrade, our team steps up to the plate and knocks it out of the park every time.
You're out!
Don't wait till water's in your dugout. Call Avondale Roofing today and keep your home in the win column.
ESPN Wisconsin's Brian Balaga here for my new friends at Surfside. There's only one thing better than Surfside and golf, and that's Surfside iced teas and lemonade plus vodka on the golf course. This golf season, there's no better drink to enjoy on the golf course. Surfside is light, refreshing, and made with real vodka and real brewed tea. Plus, there's only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, and 0 bubbles. That's right, no carbonation. Cheers to hitting the fairway, and cheers to Surfside. It's tea time. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
They say seeing is believing. And when you check out what's waiting for you at American Place Casino, you'll definitely believe you'll love it. From thrilling gaming to top-notch service, we're changing the game. Come play all your favorites like blackjack, craps, roulette, and the latest slots. Catch a game at the sportsbook, enjoy great restaurants, bars, and more. If you're ready for excitement, exceptional service, and an experience you'll never forget, then we'll see you soon. American Place Casino. Change the game. Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER.
2 Wisconsin icons are teaming up on a reworked classic. Cousin Subs and U-Zingers are proud to introduce the all-new Fried Bologna Sub, featuring U-Zingers fried bologna, bacon, American cheese, onions, pickles, mayo, and mustard on fresh-baked Italian bread. And that's not all. Pair your fried bologna with a creamy cupcake shake topped with whipped cream and rainbow sprinkles. Now that's a better combination. Order both in-store, online, or via the mobile app. Cousin Subs. We believe in better.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, Teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
If you're feeling like you need a little bit of company, you met me at the perfect time. You want me, I want you, baby.
Sunday Karma, ESPN Wisconsin, live from Walk MS at Summerfest. A beautiful May afternoon. Well, I guess it's the morning still.
It's 10:20, bro.
Close enough. Alex Stroh, Brian D, hanging out with you. Will Summers running the show for us this morning. 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, 100.5 ESPN Madison. Your way to the show on the Cardinals Talk and Text line, 800-990-3776, 800-990-ESPN. Does Giannis have the stones to break up with the Bucks? That's our question this morning. Publicly. They get in on.
He's got the stones to do damn near anything.
That's
we
true.
know that.
That's true.
We've watched this dude for over a decade. It's a different animal to publicly say, I would no longer like to be a Milwaukee Buck. Please trade me. That's something he's never encountered before. And I'm curious to see if he is as bleak as some others are about the future of the Milwaukee Bucks organization. And if he feels like he can't continue to win championships here.
I'm bleak. A lot less bleak if Giannis is in town. Brian D has 2 teams he thinks can come up with a unique package to entice the Bucks to let go of Giannis, trade Giannis, in order to receive some compensation back. 2 teams with the NBA Draft Lottery coming up Tuesday. Brian?
There are 2 teams with a lot of ping pong balls in the machine.
That's not a metaphor.
It's not a metaphor. It's just a legitimate thing. They do have ping pong balls in the machine. I wasn't going for a metaphor. I was going for facts, Alex. Number 1 plays a Game 7 tonight. It's the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
Now, the Rockets have the Suns pick. So these are both outside chances, and you need the ping pong balls to be number one because there's one great player, like generational talent in this draft, and that's Cooper Flagg. He's going to be the consensus number one pick out of Duke. Houston's got enough young talent, and you're seeing it on display in these NBA playoffs, to be able to package Cooper Flagg plus Jalen Green and future capital, if that's a place that would be enticing enough for Giannis to go and play, right? So that's one. I think that's an outside shot. The legitimate concern, and we go into full-fledged pegging the meter panic mode here in Milwaukee if this happens, is the San Antonio Spurs. Because if San Antonio, who has 2 picks in the lottery, they've got their own and they've got the Atlanta Hawks pick. If one of those ends up with Cooper Flagg and they can package that pick plus a Stephon Castle plus in terms of picks to get Giannis and Wemby playing together, that's a hard thing for Giannis to say no to. For an organization that is as well run in any professional sports league. So if that happens Tuesday night in the NBA lottery, Wednesday on ESPN Milwaukee and ESPN Madison is going to be difficult, because I think that becomes the point where this becomes a little bit more real.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing at play with San Antonio is they now have a head coaching opening.
They have an interim in there now, somebody who was on their staff. Earlier this week, Greg Popovich moved into a more senior advisor sort of role as his health unfortunately declines a little bit. But you're right. Like, Giannis could theoretically, if all of this lines up, say, not taking that guy. I'm going to install my own guy.
Well,
now,
what if the pitch is, hey, we're going to hire Mike Budenholzer. You won a title with him in 2021. He's in search of a job right now.
He's got history in San Antonio. He's from that tree, right? So that's what makes me nervous, is that all could theoretically line up in a way that makes it very enticing for Giannis to say, yeah, I have the stones to do this publicly.
Those are the two teams I agree with you on, right? I think they have the capital. They have some of the players that I think would entice the Bucks to go, okay, maybe, right? Stephon Castle just won Rookie of the Year the other night. It's worth thinking about. But at the end of the day, as a Bucks fan, I'm riding or dying with Giannis every day of the week.
You have to. But it's our responsibility to lob up these possibilities and go, let's not blindfold ourselves to something that could actually happen, right? Like, to say, Giannis's blind loyalty is going to be enough to the city of Milwaukee to keep him around is ridiculous. It's just, it's not a legitimate thing to base hope. Hope is not a strategy, right?
It is not.
And it feels like there's a lot of hope and not a lot of substance for the Milwaukee Bucks organization right now, outside of Giannis loves us.
My final point on the hope, though, and on that point is, I think you can use that argument more with Giannis than any other player in the NBA. And I think that's been proven, right, over the course of his career. He's had other opportunities to leave. He hasn't left. He led a championship to Milwaukee. It's more of an argument with Giannis, but obviously anything can change in the NBA at the drop of a hat.
And you're asking for his hope in return. You're asking for his faith in return that after this year, which would be a lost cause coming up, it's just going to be that way. You've got a bunch of young guys that played in the playoffs that are fine but not great. You've got an injured Dame Lillard, and you've got Giannis. That is what the Bucks are going to be next year. There's no other options. You have to roll with that and trust the organization that they're going to get it right in 2027 and beyond.
Chef Ed on the Carbo Stock and Text line, 800-990-3776. His demeanor is not saying that he would ask to be traded. I talked with Homer, and he thinks they should trade him to the Lakers for Luka, says Chef Ed. Did you see Homer's tweet this week?
I loved Homer's tweet from this week.
Homer was on fire on Twitter this week, at ESPN Homer. He tweeted, trade Giannis to the Lakers for Luka. I don't care how fat he is.
He's not wrong on any of those points. He's not.
We turn our attention to the Green Bay Packers. Coming up next is Jason Wilde, the 3-time Wisconsin Sports Red of the Year, host of Wilde and Tash, weekdays from 9 to noon on ESPN Wisconsin. Joins us for the next half an hour. We are a week removed from the draft. Will the Packers finally make a decision on Jair Alexander this week? Probably not, but we'll ask him about that. And all things green and gold coming up next. Brian D., Alex Strofe with you live from Walk MS at Summerfest. It's Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin.
More Sunday Karma coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Bev Anderson has a big idea she wants to share.
Bev has been here for 24 years.
Hi, Bev. We're anxious to hear your idea.
Kessler's is 45 years old this year. Monica, remember when your dad used to say in every radio ad, "I'm Richard Kessler, and I want to be your jeweler"?
I never got to hear that.
Yeah, and then Rick would say,
Kessler's Diamonds, inconveniently located on Appleton Avenue, Menominee Falls.
Inconveniently?
Richard said it was inconvenient for people to have to drive all the way to Menominee Falls, so he might as well admit it.
Bev, tell us your idea.
Richard said something else in almost every ad, and I think we should start saying it again because it's really important.
Tell us.
We do diamonds better because diamonds are what we do.
I love that.
Fantastic idea, Bev.
Kessler's Diamonds.
We do diamonds better because diamonds are what we do.
For the location nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Tailgate season, company victory party, don't let your event fall short. V Private Bar Services delivers the winning play with expertise. We're talking custom cocktails, top shelf service, and an atmosphere that'll have your team pumped. Forget the watered down beer and basic mixers. Get the VIP treatment for your corporate events with bartenders who know the perfect pour. V Private Bar Services, where elevated hospitality runs through our veins. Explore vprivatebar.com and leave the mixing to us.
At the Knickerbocker Hotel, we believe your stay should be as convenient and luxurious as possible. Whether you're planning a small meeting or a special event, our versatile space is perfect for any occasion. Start your day with a delicious meal at the Nick Restaurant and Bar, or unwind at the Nick Salon and Spa. Wanting to stay active? Their 24-hour fitness center is always available. If you need something custom made or alterations made, there's a tailor on site. The Knickerbocker, where every detail is designed with your comfort in mind. For more information and to book your next stay, visit knickerbockeronthelake.com.
If you're a motorist of the four-wheel variety, please watch out for those of us in Wisconsin who do their traveling on two wheels. Adjust your mirrors to reduce your blind spots. Allow motorcyclists a full lane width. Use your turn signal when merging or changing lanes. And allow more following distance between you and the motorcycle. Motorists and motorcyclists can work together to achieve zero preventable deaths on Wisconsin roads. Zero in Wisconsin. Together we can save lives. Learn more at zeroinwisconsin.gov. Wisconsin DOT.
Make plans to stop by Third Ward Beer Garden at Catalano Square. Experience Milwaukee's favorite beer garden, the perfect spot to meet up with friends in the Third Ward. Open Wednesday through Sunday with live music Thursday through Saturday. Good times and great vibes await at Third Ward Beer Garden.
Forget average. At Exterior Pros, they bring the heat. They're not here to meet standards, they're here to smash them. From the first swing of the hammer to the final reveal, they're leveling up your home with every window, every shingle, and every single detail. This isn't just a remodel, it's a glow up for your house. Built tough, built beautiful, built to turn heads. Want in? Let's go. Lock in your project now and save $3,000. Exterior Pros, where bold meets built. Trust the pros and visit extpros.com or call 262-800-4274.
At Citizens Bank, community banking is you, growing your business with a partner who gets it. It's you, buying your first home with a lender who makes it easy. It's you, building a future with savings that work just as hard as you. And it's us, working together to strengthen our community. Because at Citizens Bank, community banking means you plus us. Visit us at citizensbankwi.bank. Citizens Bank is member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Your state, your teams, your ESPN. The ESPN Wisconsin app. Customizable just for you. Find the ESPN Wisconsin app in the Apple or Android app stores today. You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Watch me dance the night away.
Sunday Karma live at Walk MS at the Summerfest grounds this Sunday morning. I'm Alex Strope alongside my boss. Brian D is here with me on this Sunday morning. I've realized I work with all of my bosses on this show now.
I don't know if I like boss.
Well, you are my boss, and then I typically host it with my boss's boss and my boss's boss's boss in Craig and Greg.
Is that a good move or a bad move for you? That you are
bad. I'm under a microscope, bro.
You're either under the most immense microscope ever, or the flip side of the coin would be you're surrounding yourself with people that could advance your career, right?
Yeah, two things can be true, I guess, in that scenario. Speaking of somebody who can advance my career, he let me host Wilde and Tausch this week with him on Thursday. He is the 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year. He is the co-host of Wilde and Tausch weekdays from 9 to noon on ESPN Wisconsin. He is our friend. He is our mentor. He is our lovely Packers reporter. He is Jason Wilde joining us on Sunday Karma. Good morning, Jason.
You forgot my guy, and you also...
Oh, I did.
Who has done more to advance your career than me?
Brian, you want to pick that fight, or should I just not respond?
No, I'm with him. I agree. It's not me. It's not Scals. It's not Craig. It's not Kyle.
I did call him my mentor, if that means anything.
Yeah, well, I'm just when I saw that you two were hosting, and yes, Brian, one of the great things about him is that he hates the idea of being considered a boss, but that's what he is. But also seeing on social that you guys... Now, I'm going to need some information on why your pants were wet, because that information was not clearly stated.
Wait, did we put this on social?
A close teammate of ours who had proximity to the stage did post on social that your pants were wet. Khakis was a tough move by you today.
Was it I hope it was raining and it wasn't some sort of a urinary issue, especially considering that I shared some embarrassing information about John Williams, the Packers' 7th-round pick, as he was talking to us, and a booger flew out of his nose.
I was going to ask you about that,
Jason. For my story. But I'm glad. But before we get to any boogers or anything else, I got to say, I love the fact that you guys are at the MS Walk. My mom, who passed away many years ago, was diagnosed with MS in 1997, and I went on a lot of those walks, and it's a phenomenal cause, so appreciate you guys being there and adding your support and awareness to an important event.
Yeah, we're happy to be here, Jason. So before we get to what you described as a flying projectile in the Packers locker room, I want Alex to give more information about the water that ended up on his khakis. Go ahead, Alex.
So I chalk it up. You know what? I peed my pants. No. So I went to the restroom. I used it properly. Waited for the dribble as one does, then zipped up my pants, went to the sink. These sinks are not used much these months, and I think I just so happened to pick one that panicked. And it when I put my hand underneath the sink, it kind of bounced off my palm and all over the right side of my pants. So I had like I would say about a bigger than a quarter size dribble looking spot. About 3 inches above my knee, but right on the inside of my leg.
That's a long
And then
story.
I didn't tell this part. I was like, that's just one spot. I got to make it look worse. Right? I got to make it look like it was bigger
you
than
dressed it up?
So I dressed it up. After I washed my hands, I threw some at my pants because I was like, I can't make people think I peed myself, so I've got to make it obvious that it was water. So that's what I did. So anyway, and then I went behind the stage prior to getting on the Briggs & Stratton stage to introduce the event and count down the walk. I sat on the top of a picnic table that was right directly in the sunlight. I sat about crisscross applesauce while I read through the script, and luckily it dried up. So we're good. Thousands impressed.
Wow. I will say this. One of my favorite conversations during my career was with poor Mike Daniels, who was a phenomenal character and always fun. But there was a game, I want to say it was against Detroit, but my memory might be off on that. But he was a profuse sweater in the below the equator region, both front and back. And remember, they would wear those tan pants. Yeah, it had to be Detroit.
Yes.
They would wear those tan pants that Rodgers liked so much. They were so comfortable. But when you sweat, it was much more visible than with the yellow or green or even white pants. And so it definitely appeared that Mike had gotten a little bit on himself while he was playing in the game. And that was not the case. And him trying to convince us that that's not what had happened is one of the funniest conversations I've had in the locker room.
All right, Jason. Well, let's shift from one bodily excrement to another here. How close were you to a flying booger in the Packers media facility or locker room this week? What happened?
Yeah, it was definitely directed away from me, so that was good. But it did narrowly miss. I think it was Fox 11's microphone, and Ellie, who was conducting the interview. But yeah, it was. John Williams he's literally a rocket scientist. His degree from Cincinnati is in aerospace engineering.
Wow.
And yet, and the Packers have had a guy like this before, Brad Jones, who, if you ask Rob Domofsky, was kind of his Lex Luthor. Like, they did not get along. He was kind of like Bill Schrader and I. But he was always, and this is the one, if there's one thing that you can be in a conversation with me that will bother me, it's condescending. I've never, I try not to be that way. I might do that once in a while with Strofe, but I don't think so. But I hate it when people are condescending. And like Tom Clements used to do that all the time. He softened in his older years with us, but I can't stand that. And Brad Jones, who, look, I'm fine with admitting that he's smarter than me. I'm a fairly smart guy, but he was smarter. There's no doubt about it. And so is John Williams. And what I loved about John Williams was he could not have been less that way. Like, you wouldn't have known that he was an aerospace engineering major who, when his NFL career is over, will probably go work at NASA or SpaceX or Lockheed Martin. And his reaction, because I didn't want to embarrass him, but at the same time, he totally took it in stride, and he was our conversation with him was dwarfed only in fun by Warren Brinson, their 6th-round pick, the defensive tackle out of Georgia, who was, he was like, Jim Gaffigan and Frank Caliendo and every comedian you could think of with us. And so I think there's even a picture that the USA Today photographer has of me laughing as he's talking, and I'm in the back, and I'm kind of off to the side. And so what kind of struck me in those conversations was, they talk so much about wanting guys that love ball and are all about ball. And these two guys are, by the way, right? They're both really successful third-day picks. But they both played big-time football. And what I thought was cool was that they both are all about ball and also let their personalities shine through. And when I asked LaFleur about it, he had this great line about, I don't want these guys to be robots. Certainly they got to perform, but I want their personalities to come out. And I thought that was really cool to get to know those two guys. Warren Brinson, he was, there was no slowing him down. It was just a laugh a minute. And then occasionally we would get a serious answer. And then even then he had to finish it with some sort of one-liner or joke. So it's been a long time since I laughed that much in an interview. John Williams was really funny too, and those guys obviously will be judged on how they play, but I wanted to give our fans a little bit of a taste of behind the scenes. That's usually my goal.
I love that, and now I'm going to derail it, and we'll talk more about rookie camp and some of your interactions with some of the higher round picks coming up next, Jason. But before we get there, you mentioned Billy Schrader, who you obviously had a unique relationship with, to say the least. The other night, I found myself reading a Jason Wilde article from 2002 about Bill Schrader's return to Lambeau when he was a member of the Detroit Lions. And I don't want to call it a hit piece, but it was quite a detailed story about why he was so disliked. Do you remember this article?
So I certainly remember the story it would have been 1999, I think, where he was still with the Packers. And here in the ultimate irony, by the way, it's funny that this is coming up because I found this out a couple weeks ago and I haven't mentioned it. So our oldest, Maddie, is on the varsity track team at her high school as a freshman, which is awesome, and I'm super proud of her.
Good for her.
One of the things she's doing is the triple jump, and they don't have a coach for triple jump. And I was talking to one of the other coaches who coaches the throws, and I said, hey, do you know anybody who'd be like a really good coach for Maddie? Like she really is excited about this. She doesn't even know what she's doing, and she's done really well. And he's like, to be honest with you, the guy to go to is Bill Schrader.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, I wonder if he would be willing to coach her in spite of. And look, I always felt like it was one of those like snowballs rolling downhill with him and I. And it all goes back to, like, he was, you know, and I've always said this about him. To make it to the level that he did, having played 1 year of college football at the Division III level at UW-La Crosse, is a testament to what a remarkable athlete he was and how driven he was. The issue was that it also required him to be incredibly self-confident, and some would say arrogant. And it went to hell between him and I. Like, it wasn't ever great, but it really went south when he had back-to-back 100-yard games and then had like a 99-yard game. So he was like their best receiver for a period there in 99. And so I'm like, look, I got to do a story on this guy. He's playing great. And I went to his two closest friends on the team, Matt Hasselbeck, the backup quarterback at the time, and Ryan Longwell. And Matt Hasselbeck, I can't remember which one said which. One said, you know, it's like working in an office. You don't have to get along with the guy in the next cubicle to get the job done. And the other one said that I can see how Billy rubs people the wrong way. And those were his closest friends on the team. And then I went to Bernardo Harris and Santana Dotson. And I think it was Santana who said, I think our parents would have called it not playing well with others. And Bernardo said, my mom taught me to never say anything. If I had nothing good to say about someone, not to say anything. And then he demonstrably stood there silent for 10 seconds. And so, look, these four guys knew it was on the record. And I used all four of those anecdotes in the story in which I said, look, sometimes, you know, Billy and his locker room brethren don't always see eye to eye, but what matters is he's been extremely productive. And he's helping a team that needs more wide receiver production get the offense going. Well, obviously he saw the story then the next day, and when he talked at his locker, there was a big group, and I was on the outskirts of it, and he banished me, said he wouldn't talk unless I left, and we have not spoken since, including the time when the girls were little. And I was going for, you know, I was trying to accumulate a bunch of pre-owned toys for them. They were like 2 and 1. And I pulled up to this nice house not far from Lambeau, and I started to go up the driveway, and it was Bill Schrader who was having a rummage sale. And I immediately spun on my heel and went back out because I just didn't think that he wanted me coming in and buying his pre-owned toys. So he and I never really got past that. He sits behind me in the press box when he's checking everybody's socks to make sure they're the right length and everything. And we just sort of agree to not speak to each other. So if you know any other triple jump coaches, I'm all ears.
What about 7'2½"?
Yeah, I don't, you know, obviously he was a fantastic high jumper. I know that he's a very busy guy. He's got a bunch of track assignments coming up. But yes, you know, he's not only my favorite journalism professor active in the academic world, but also, yeah, he'd be a good resource. I don't know if he knows anybody locally, but we'd certainly take any suggestions John Anderson has.
I actually think I got a guy for you. I'll text you offline. All right, Jason, we dive into rookie camp, some of your conversations coming up. Next, here on Sunday Karma, I had a brain fry there because I saw a really tall dog, and I was really confused by the height of that dog. So anyway, all right, Sunday Karma rolls on live from Summerfest, where I seemingly won't get distracted anymore.
The dog is like 5 feet tall. It's ridiculous.
Brian D. Alex Stroop with you. Jason Wilde continues with us next.
More Sunday Karma coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. All day, every day. The Carbless talk and text line is open for you.
First off, there is not one team that's on the fringe that scares me.
800-990-3776. The Carbless talk and text line. This is more. Station updates, show clips, and your place to interact with us every single day just by scrolling through your feed. Follow along on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ESPN Milwaukee.
It's a home run. But wait, is your roof ready for the big league storms? If your roof has more holes than a catcher's mitt, it's time to bring in the pros. At Avondale Roofing, we've been handling leaks, repairs, and full replacements with major league precision for over 30 years. Whether it's a quick patch-up or full upgrade, our team steps up to the plate and knocks it out of the park every time. You're out! Don't wait till water's in your dugout. Call Avondale Roofing today and keep your home in the win column.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text SIZZLE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text SIZZLE to 42424. That's SIZZLE to 42424.
They say seeing is believing. And when you check out what's waiting for you at American Place Casino, you'll definitely believe you'll love it. From thrilling gaming to top-notch service, we're changing the game. Come play all your favorites like blackjack, craps, roulette, and the latest slots. Catch a game at the sportsbook, enjoy great restaurants, bars, and more. If you're ready for excitement, exceptional service, and an experience you'll never forget, then we'll see you soon. American Place Casino. Change the game. Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's. Flavor is our family's business.
Your current car? Soon to be your old car. A new car? Better start looking. But you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with free credit score and score monitoring on most new consumer checking accounts. Because when you know you need to make a big purchase, knowing your credit score puts you in the driver's seat. You've got this with free credit monitor from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
I'm Tiffany Haddish. And I'm Marlon Wayans. African Americans are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer than any other racial or ethnic group. Access to cutting-edge treatment can help make long-term survival possible. That's why Stand Up to Cancer and the Lust Garden Foundation have teamed up to bring over 30 pancreatic cancer clinical trials to those who need them. For more information about the latest pancreatic cancer research and clinical trials near you, visit pancreaticcancercollective.org.
This is Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
'Cause I'm lost in the way you move, the way you feel. One kiss is all it takes. Falling in love with me.
The Dua Lipa version. Sunday Karma. Alex Sharp, Brian D. hanging out with you live from Walk MS at the Summerfest grounds in beautiful downtown Milwaukee, right off Lake Michigan. Joined again by our buddy Jason Wilde, who you hear each and every weekday from 9 to noon, alongside the Packers Hall of Famer Mark Tauscher on Wilde and Tausch. And Jason, you mentioned it a little bit last segment, some of your interactions with the Packers draft picks as rookie camp gets underway in Green Bay. You mentioned some of your comedic takeaways. What were your takeaways speaking with Matthew Golden, the first-round pick? We talked about one of your articles you wrote in 2002. That was the last time the Packers drafted a wide receiver in the first round, up until Matthew Golden last week. What were your takeaways in your conversation with 22?
Yeah, first of all, it was fun to find out why he wanted number 22, because I think we can all agree that it's not a traditional wide receiver number. It was not because of Taylor Swift, and it was not because of what appears to be Will's affinity for Dua Lipa, but it was more because his grandmother's favorite number, and she's obviously a huge influence on him, as he has talked about on multiple occasions now. Her favorite number is 2, and that is already issued to Malik Willis. Now, he said he did not approach Malik Willis and ask him about the idea of maybe swapping out numbers, but so he went with 22 instead, which I don't know about you, but watching practice, which was not really a practice, it was mostly just drill work, it was just so strange to see a number 22 playing wide receiver. It just was my brain just could not completely get wrapped around it. But I think we're going to see him doing it a lot, obviously, and he's going to have a big role in this offense because you don't pick a guy in the first round to sit on the bench. So I'm eager to see what his role will be and get used to seeing a guy who's number 22 catching balls down the sideline.
Don't disrespect Aaron Ripkowski like that, Jason. Did Matthew Golden have to get Ripkowski's permission to rock 22? I think he was the last.
It's a great reference. And again, fullback, perfect number for him, right? Like,
yes.
Makes sense. We've seen running backs. We've seen defensive backs wear 22. Never wide receiver. So, and of course he's also got a connection with Savion Williams, their third-round pick, who is wearing a more traditional number 83 as the wide receiver. But oddly enough, Savion Williams hosted him on his visit to TCU, where he initially committed to play football, and then he went to Houston, and then obviously he ended up at Texas. So I always, one of the many things I love about this is the it's a small world after all interactions, and and that was definitely one of them to hear about that. Another one is that Micah Robinson, the corner they drafted in the 7th round, is like second or third cousins with the aforementioned Malik Willis, which I also wasn't expecting. So that's the kind of stuff that, that's the kind of stuff that I'm really interested in.
It's a small world after
okay,
all.
I'm going to ask one more question to stop Alex from singing. Where are we at with Jair? Where are we at with Ja? It feels like you're being asked this 7 times a week, but it's information people are curious about. Where do we stand right now on May 4th?
Yeah, May the 4th be with him. I don't look.
And with your spirit.
He is risen indeed. So here's the thing. And this was why I had a feeling about this, but I wanted to get Matt LaFleur on the record, and I'm always trying to figure out ways to ask questions that will effectively kind of corner someone into having to give at least some answer, right? As opposed to, whatever he might have done instead. And so the way I went with it was, Matt, I'm sure Jason Wallers, the PR director, warned you that this question would be coming. He said you give Jason too much credit. I'm like, no, he's good at his job. I know he prepped you for this. It's my understanding Jair Alexander is not taking part in the on-field stuff during the off-season program at this point. Is that correct? And he, of course, all he had to do was say yes or no, so he had to say yes because that was the truth. And I think that's important, but it's not important because of, they don't want him back. It doesn't necessarily bring us any closer to knowing what ultimately will happen with him, and here's why. Because they are still in this limbo, okay, of they don't know if they're going to trade him, they don't know if they're going to release him, or they don't know if they're going to keep him. And right now, though, because they haven't decided, and this is the most important thing that comes out of getting that answer out of him, is that we know that they've made no decision clearly, and that they're still weighing their options. Because if they put him out there on the turf at the Don Hutson Center, and he blows his Achilles, they are on the hook for his full salary for 2025, which is $16 and change million. And if you knew you wanted him and you weren't going to try to keep him on a pay cut or you weren't going to move on from him, then you would have him out there, right? Because he needs the work. So my intuition tells me, because Matt LaFleur said we're still working through it, is that they have an agreement that, hey, we appreciate that you want to be here in terms of collecting on your workout bonus, but we want to figure out where we stand, and we want you to feel good about where you stand. So I'm guessing they have told him, look, we will pay your workout bonus regardless, but we need you to not participate because we don't know what we're doing right now. And I think that's the most likely scenario. And now we have to wait and see if in the coming weeks they reach an accord to have him stay here, or if they decide, you know what, it's best if we part ways and we found a trade partner, or we didn't. But I just think, after Rob Domofsky reported that, him staying was still on the table, it was almost as if people said, oh, well, he's definitely staying. And I think this underscores the fact that that's not necessarily true.
It just seems like they haven't made their mind up, which I find strange at this point, because Goody said prior to the draft, right, we will reevaluate after the draft. They only draft the 7th-round corner, so now they need to figure out, okay, can we restructure? Can we make this an incentive-based contract if he plays a certain number of games? It's just, there's not going to be an update until there's an update. That's where I'm operating. Is that fair?
Sure, but part of that is up to him, right? Like, is he willing to come back on a reduced rate, and what is that rate that he's willing to come back at? And then what is the rate that the Packers are willing to pay him, knowing that there's a risk that he's going to miss time again because of his track record the last 2 years? To me, that's somewhere there is a point where Jair is comfortable with the contract and the Packers are comfortable with the risk of carrying him for another year. But I don't know where that is, and I'm not sure they do either. And so that's the holdup. And whenever they get there, if they get there, then he'll be back. But the crux of this, too, remember, is the fact that, as I've said many times, the coaches in the building, nobody's questioning whether the guy can play anymore or not. They all believe he's good enough to play when he's on the field. And that conversation I had with one of those folks, when they said, Jason, he still can play. He's still a really good player. And my 3-word answer was, when he plays. And his response was, yeah, you're right. You're right. So, again, we're still in a holding pattern.
And I think we will continue to be for a while. Never in a holding pattern with our buddy Jason Wilde, who joins us every week right here on Sunday Karma. Jason, thanks for the time as always. Jason. We'll be listening to you tomorrow beginning at 9 a.m.
All right, guys. Take care. Be good.
The great Jason Wilde, and he always tells you about our friends over at Gruber Law Offices. For over 35 years, Gruber Law Offices has been serving the people of Wisconsin. Gruber Law Offices, Wisconsin's premier injury firm. If you or somebody you know, somebody you love, has been injured in an accident, there's only one place to talk to, and that is Gruber Law Offices. Family firm, a winning team, and based right here in Wisconsin. Gruber Law Offices, one call, that's all. I am fired up about the potential of this Packers offense. I'll tell you why. Coming up next, Alex Stroh, Brian D. with you live from Walk MS at the Summerfest grounds. It's Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin.
Sunny skies, ideal temps, great food, and plenty of live music and events. That's summer in Minnesota. Enjoy the unmatched beauty of the North Woods or the excitement of our famous state fair. And with nearly 500 golf courses scattered in the land of 10,000 lakes, there's no better place to hit the range than Minnesota. Come discover all the things in Minnesota that make the heartbeat of a community and the heartbeat of culture. Visit exploreminnesota.com for more.
Hey, it's Brad Nortman, and I've got to tell you about my go-to car wash, Tsunami Express. Get your ride looking its best and ride the wave at Tsunami Express Car Wash, Milwaukee's fan favorite for that perfect shine. Sign up for a monthly membership and enjoy unlimited washes for less than $1 a day. Skip the wait with the fast lane and take advantage of great perks. With locations in Midtown Milwaukee, Waukesha, Greenfield, Oak Creek, and Mount Pleasant, Tsunami Express has you covered. Tsunami Express Car Wash. Wash, chill, repeat. Visit TsunamiExpress.com to learn more.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Dutch Boys DuraFighter is a premium interior paint and primer in one with a tough, lasting formula. It provides great scrub resistance and durability with remarkable hide and a smooth finish. Save big on Dutch Boys DuraFighter paint at Menards and start your next project today. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Tune in to KBN every day at 2 o'clock. Kyle Brust and Nortman. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD, Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
The biggest sports stories of the week.
I think that is the attitude you should have. But if the first thing you bring up when you look at the standings is Craig Counsell, then he has real estate in your head.
I don't think you can even argue.
No argument.
The Green Bay Packers
argument
were
the way it ended. But like I just said it, like they were 7-8 last year against everyone besides the Bears, right?
Unique and compelling analysis and opinions when it comes to your favorite teams.
As much as they want, because both teams are good, and that game to be.
Kyle, you're not feeling this.
Jason knows I'm not feeling
Kyle
it.
and I have already had this argument.
Yeah.
You hate that I feel.
What else was on the WB back then? What else did I miss?
You probably saw the Wayans brothers, right?
Yeah.
The Jamie Foxx show. Don't come on now, Craig. Come on, Craig. You know the Jamie Foxx show?
No.
You know
This is Sunday Karma, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue. Here's GKB founder and CEO Craig Karmazin.
Yeah, not quite me. Neither the founder nor the CEO, but I'm here regardless. Alex Stroh, Brian D. hanging out with you this morning. It's Sunday Karma. We are live at Walk MS from the Summerfest grounds right off Lake Michigan. A beautiful day for a beautiful cause with Walk MS. We're talking Packers excitement, man. We are a little over a week now out of the NFL draft, which we didn't have a show last Sunday. What a ridiculously cool event in Green Bay last week. The NFL draft. It was such a blast to be a part of. Brian was nice enough to give me Saturday off, so I just explored.
You got the nice weather day to explore, too.
I did. Had a few brewskis, wandered the grounds, got to see the draft. Only stayed for a little bit of Brad Paisley.
Okay.
Not really my cup of tea. Probably more your cup of tea than mine.
Yeah, I like Brad Paisley. My wife doesn't, though, and that becomes a point of contention driving around the truck.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep.
Humble brag that you have a truck.
Cool.
Country boy.
Cool.
Cool. So I want to dive into this Packers team now that it's essentially complete. Obviously, we await the Jair Alexander component, but from terms of who will be on the team, this roster is essentially complete outside of that Jair factor.
Yep.
And the draft did not go the way I think a lot of people anticipated, right? Even if you were expecting a first-round wide receiver, I think you were expecting day 2 of the draft, rounds 2 and 3, to be all about the defense, right? Whether that's a cornerback or an edge rusher or defensive tackle or whatever. That's not what you got. You got an offensive lineman and a second wide receiver in round 3 in Savion Williams. And now as I look specifically at the Packers offense, Brian, I go, whoa, this is a year where between Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, this could be a top 5 offense in the NFL. And here's why I feel that way. Not only is it the obvious additions of Matthew Golden, who is the fastest guy in the draft, a 4.29 40, which, by the way, we talked about Billy Schrader with Jason.
Yeah.
Did you know what his 40 time was?
I would guess it's something comparable to that 4.29.
Faster.
That's amazing.
4.26 for Billy Schrader. He was very fast. Anyway, so 4.29 speed, you add that to the Packers offense with the new number 22, Matthew Golden. You add a 6'4" versatile piece in Savion Williams. He can play in the slot. He can play the X. He can play the Z. He can line up in the backfield.
Yep.
You look at these two tight ends, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, who haven't spent a ton of time in their 2 years in the league together healthy.
I don't know. Tucker's obviously unbelievable. He's going to be a beast. The jury is still very much out on Luke Musgrave. Like we haven't seen him in a year and a half.
No, right. At least the healthy version of him, which is why that gives me some excitement, because I think back to this time 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now, in rookie camp, Luke Musgrave was the one popping off the page. It wasn't Tucker Kraft. It was his speed, his versatility as an option on that offense. And then obviously you still have the 3 receivers to start the year, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs. You have Josh Jacobs coming off a really nice season. You get a healthy Marshawn Lloyd. Like, I look at this offense, Brian, and I go, the possibilities are endless. An improved offensive line, one they invested in both in free agency and in the draft. This is a big year for Matt LaFleur to say, hey, man, I'm still one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. And it's a year for Jordan Love where he doesn't really have excuses from a pieces standpoint.
That's the key, is they have the pieces, they have the horses now. And Golden's going to be an unbelievable weapon. I'm fascinated to see how they use Davion, just because he's been comped to Cordero Patterson, right? Who's just like, put him anywhere and he'll figure it out. Jordan Love doesn't have any excuses anymore. And I think one of the under-talked about storylines of last season was Jordan Love played okay. He didn't play great. And when you're getting paid $55 million a year, you're expected to be the reason that the team is winning. And he was not the reason that the team was winning last year. And I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. The game late in the season against the Detroit Lions, when the division was still up for grabs, right? That was a 3-horse race between the Packers, the Lions, and the Vikings toward the end of the year. And the Packers had a couple of those games backlogged, right? They had the Vikings and the Lions on the road late. They lost both of those games. The Lions game, the game was tied at 28 in the fourth quarter. Jordan Love gets the ball, right? Leads the team down the field. Dinkin and Duncan making plays, and they had to settle for a field goal. And you need to get that ball in the end zone if you're an MVP caliber quarterback. Like it or not, good or bad, and I think there was a penalty that was called back when they scored a touchdown on that drive.
There sure was.
The MVP guys, the Jalen Hurtses, the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons, they get that ball in the end zone, and they're the reason the team wins. Jordan Love wasn't able to do that last year. You can make the excuse about the injury early. Even in that game against Philly, he didn't play particularly well.
No. But weird circumstances, didn't really play in the preseason.
What I'm getting to is you need to be the reason that Dontavion Wicks is great. You need to be the reason that Matthew Golden is great as a rookie. It can't be the other way around. And I feel like to this point in Jordan Love's career, it's been let's surround him with the pieces he needs to be the great, and it needs to be the flip. He needs to be making the other guys around him better, and that hasn't necessarily happened yet. We need to see that jump this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw it during that 8-game stretch, right? Because you surround him with rookie wide receivers, second-year wide receivers throughout the entirety of his tenure as the starting quarterback of the Packers. But I think this year is about you don't have those excuses anymore, right? You've got the pieces. We've invested in the pieces. We've invested in the offensive line. We've invested in the backfield between Josh Jacobs, a big contract, and a second or third round pick last year on Marshawn Lloyd, who will likely serve as running back 2 this year. So if Jordan Love is the $55 million man he's paid to be, if he is an MVP candidate, if he is a top 5, top 10 quarterback in the NFL, this is the year to prove it.
And last year, ifs though, man. Like we keep making ifs, and everybody, it's only. There's a lot of ifs and
because
it's
there's no finality to it, right? There's no definition. I don't know what word I'm looking for. What is Jordan Love, right? I don't think you and I could sit here and confidently say he's a top 8 quarterback in the league.
No.
Could he be?
Sure.
Yes. But is he right now? No, he's not.
The fact that he isn't says a lot, though. And I'm tired of the. And this ends this year for sure.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it's his second year starting.
Right. Yeah, that's
You've been in the league since 2020, bro. Like, you've been around. You got to learn from one of the best to ever do it, a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm tired of the excuse of, well, it's only his second year starting. Like, you've been in the league for over half a decade. If you haven't figured out how to piece it together by this point, I think it's fair after this year to second guess if you ever will.
I tend to agree, and I think the good news is that won't happen because we've seen the flashes, right? Like, if we had the question of, is Jordan Love an NFL caliber starter, we've got that answer. The answer is yes.
Absolutely.
But from that point, it is, can he elevate to be an MVP? Can he elevate to be a top quarterback in a what is now a pretty good quarterback conference, but his first year starting, there really wasn't a ton of great quarterbacks in the NFC. Now it seems like Jared Goff is at a good spot, and Brock Purdy's solid, and now Jaden Daniels is coming up. Jalen Hurts just got to his second Super Bowl. There's some good Jared Goff, if I didn't already mention him, right? Like, there's some good quarterbacks in the NFC now, but Jordan Love is still definitely in the area where he can become one of the top quarterbacks in the NFC and really stamp that this year that he has arrived. We saw the 8-game stretch 2 years ago where he was terrific. He was the best quarterback in all of football. You didn't get that same Jordan Love consistently in 2024. This is the year for that to be the case because he has the pieces around him. The investment level is there, and he has one of the best offensive-minded head coaches. I think the sky is the limit for this Packers offense in 2025. And I'll be really disappointed if they're not a top offense in the NFL.
Yeah, the difficult part, Alex, in the NFC is there's more traffic now than there was 2 years ago.
Agreed.
Right? Like, Jaden Daniels is all of a sudden a thing.
There's even more traffic in the NFC North.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, every team has playoff hopes in 2025, including the lowly Chicago Bears.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, right? We keep waiting for them to piece it together. And every draft, I'm like, oh, man, they're doing things right, and then they fail to put it together on the field.
Yeah.
But it feels like the trajectory is even better there, right? So this is kind of a judgmental year. Forget all the rest of the pieces. The only piece I'm most concerned about is number 10. Because if he can't put it together this year with all of the positivity around him and all the investment around him, it starts to be on him and not everybody else.
Brian D., Alex Strofe hanging out with you live from Walk MS at the Summerfest grounds here on Sunday Karma. Hey, for the first time on Sunday Karma, I get to tell you about my great friends over at Door County Distillery. Locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County. Summer's here, baby. I've declared at the start of the summer, if you're heading up to Door County this summer, you got to stop in Carlsville at Door County Distillery. You got to go on the tour. You got to try the tastings. You got to see the exclusive product they have on site in Carlsville in southern Door County. And the tour is awesome because they bring you into the basement and they tell you it's haunted.
Oh, is it?
It's pretty sweet. Yeah, allegedly. I've been on the tour a few times. It used to be a school, and they still have original desks in the basement. I don't want to spoil everything.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I don't know.
What?
I do know. Well, that's a topic for maybe later in the show. Door County Distillery, they make everything. It's affordable, it's local, it's award-winning. Gins, rums, brandies. By the way, they're cherry brandy, which you can use in your old fashioned, infused with local Door County cherries. My personal favorite is the bourbon, but if you're a whiskey old fashioned person, you got to go with the 28-time gold medal award winning single malt whiskey. Check them out, Door County Distillery, DoorCountyDistillery.com to find the retailer nearest you. It's sold where all great liquor is sold, whether you're in Madison or in Milwaukee. I mean, we're sitting here at Summerfest, Brian. I've seen more Cubs gear than I have Brewers gear at Walk MS. As the Cubs in town this weekend, we've been infiltrated. We will dive in to Cubs fans, your demeanor, your attitude towards Craig Counsell and the first place Cubs.
It's exhausting, and it has nothing to do with baseball.
That's coming up next. It's Sunday Karma, ESPN Wisconsin.
More Sunday Karma coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. With Wilde and Tausch, you won't miss a play.
And now, unless there's a big boy trade coming that I don't see on the horizon, Green Bay is going to run this thing back and probably pick up an early round draft pick to add to that room.
Presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
And you hope that these other guys will emerge and can add, but I don't see them making a J.R. Ewing type change.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN, ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel, and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Here's Frank Wazalewski, Vice President of Access.
There are some national factory direct companies that are selling people stair lifts at twice their value. They're breaking within a year, and they can't get service. So now people are paying 3 times what they should have paid from the get-go had they just gone to a local and reputable company. Call us, give us your price from your local contractor. We're going to beat it.
Access, the leaders in ADA general contracting since 1990. Will beat any stairlift quote provided by a local company. Visit allaboutaccess.com.
I'm very familiar with Gruber Law Offices because they're always out in the community.
Gruber Law Offices are known to be honest, hardworking.
They're always involved in our neighborhoods.
Gruber Law Offices make our community a better place.
They are the best. For nearly 40 years, Gruber Law Offices has helped people throughout Wisconsin. If you're injured, we're here to help. One call, that's all.
Wisconsin would not be the same without Gruber Law Offices.
Bev Anderson has a big idea she wants to share.
Bev has been here for 24 years.
Hi, Bev. We're anxious to hear your idea.
Kessler's is 45 years old this year. Monica, remember when your dad used to say in every radio ad, "I'm Richard Kessler, and I want to be your jeweler"?
I never got to hear that.
Yeah, and then Rick would say,
Kessler's Diamonds, inconveniently located on Appleton Avenue, Menominee Falls.
Inconveniently?
Richard said it was inconvenient for people to have to drive all the way to Menominee Falls, so he might as well admit it.
Bev, tell us your idea.
Richard said something else in almost every ad, and I think we should start saying it again because it's really important.
Tell us.
We do diamonds better because diamonds are what we do.
I love that.
Fantastic idea, Bev.
Kessler's Diamonds.
We do diamonds better because diamonds are what we do.
For the location nearest you, visit Kessler'sDiamonds.com.
Let's talk about home turf. Your lawn is a reflection of your pride, hard work, and even competitive spirit. If you want a yard that makes the neighbors stop and stare, you need the right plan. That's where Weedman Lawn Care comes in. Weedman's lawn care program is kid and pet friendly, uses golf course quality fertilizer, and has an effective weed treatment to dominate any issue. Get a free quote of Weedman's winning formula for your yard at weedman.com and get 50% off your first treatment. That's weedman.com. Weedman for the win.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
Did you know that the phrase "when is Mother's Day" is the most searched "when" phrase in the world? So just to be safe, let me remind you that Mother's Day is this Sunday. Yes, this Sunday. Need a bottle of wine or champagne for brunch? Or maybe a great gift idea? Remember, moms sacrifice so much for us, and it starts by going 9 months without alcohol. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor, where since 1960, we have provided the best selection and the lowest prices. We stock literally thousands of varieties of beer, liquor, wine, and mixers. Over 15,000 actually, but who's counting? The point is, you want it, odds are we have it. Combine our incredible selection and everyday low prices with our 2 convenient locations, and you've got your one-stop shop for a great Mother's Day gift. Discount Liquor in Milwaukee on 51st in Oklahoma and in downtown Waukesha on Barstow in Maine.
Discount Liquor.
Happy Mother's Day.
You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
I should have stayed at home, 'cause now there ain't no letting you go. Am I falling in love with the one that could break my heart?
Sunday Karma live from Walk MS at the beautiful Summerfest Grounds. Beautiful Sunday morning for a great cause, Walk MS. Alex Rupp, Brian D hanging out with you.
I'm glad that the YouTube break screen is still up because Alex was dancing to Dua Lipa as we came back from break there, and it's not something that anybody needed to see on the internet.
Oh, I could get it, man. I can get it. Look, I'm appreciative to both you for being here, Brian D, and for Will Summers, who's producing back at the Gruber Law Offices. One call, That's All Studio. One call, That's All Gruber Law Offices. So DJ Kyle, who's running the music here at Walk MS, which I had the honor and pleasure of emceeing this morning and kicking off the walk, he asked me, you're going to have a little bit of an entrance. I'm going to introduce you. You're going to walk to the podium. What do you want to play? And I said, anything by Dua Lipa.
Yeah.
It's feel good. It makes me dance.
He asked about your walk-up music as if you were striding to the plate at AmFam Field and you chose Dua Lipa. What song did he go with?
I think he went with Dance the Night Away from Barbie,
and
the Barbie movie.
You did kind of
Dance the Morning Away?
Shuffle your way up to the podium and the microphone to Dua Lipa in front of 2,000 people.
It was a longer walk than I anticipated.
Yep.
So, yeah, I had to wave as he was introducing me, and then I realized I still had about 14 steps to the podium. So I had to throw a little, shimmy in there. Not a full-out dance.
You didn't have to throw a shimmy in there. You chose to throw a shimmy in there.
It felt awkward if I didn't.
You could have just strode up there.
Strofed up there?
Strofed up there, but you decided to shimmy your way, and that's a decision you're going to have to live with if it shows up in perpetuity on the internet.
Well, if I was a baseball player, I would have Dua Lipa as my walk-up music. I don't think any current Milwaukee Brewers have Dua Lipa as their walk-up music. In fact, they should probably ban their walk-up music until they win a game against the Chicago Cubs, who lost again yesterday at AmFam Field. Series finale is today at AmFam Field between the Brewers and the Cubs. And from what I can tell, Brian, it seems like it is all red and blue at AmFam Field the last couple of days and all over this city, as AmFam Field in the past has been nicknamed as Wrigley North, and it certainly seems that way this weekend as the Cubs 2-0 and is certainly winning in the attendance game as well.
Yeah, this has been a thing for a while, obviously. There's a reason that the Brewers charge more for parking on the weekends / Cubs when you drive into the parking lots at AmFam Field. We want to gouge them, and it's good for the economy that people come up and spend money in our city. That's all fine and well. But yesterday, my wife and I came downtown because it was, it was a cloudy morning yesterday, and then out of nowhere, the blue skies came, the sun came. It was like 55 degrees, and it was like, oh, spring's here in Milwaukee. Let's go out, right? Let's do some day drinking. Let's have a little fun. Came downtown, and it's just a disaster with these people coming to Milwaukee. It has nothing to do with baseball. It has everything to do with the fact that they have no idea how to drive. They have no spatial awareness. They have no respect in public places with their belligerent demeanor. It's just exhausting to have these people infiltrating our city. Forget the baseball, right? Like, the Cubs are good. They're going to be good. Council's going to get things right down there. We can talk more about him in a minute. But why is a four-way stop the moon to these people when they come to Milwaukee? It's
fair point.
I don't understand what they're coaching in terms of driving for 16-year-olds down there. It's insane. So, again, hopefully the Brewers can salvage the series today, get a victory, and right the ship for the rest of the season. But yesterday was my first reminder of the year how exhausting Chicago Cubs fans are when they come to the city of Milwaukee.
Now, my understanding, I think Friday night Will Summers was at AmFam Field. He is a White Sox fan from the Chicago area, not a Cubs fan.
Yeah, Will, what are they? What's driver's ed like in Chicago? Like, did you get your license down there? You're in Illinois. Walk me through it.
I went to the game last night, but I mean, it's pretty standard. I don't know how they do it here. To me, it seems like that Illinois drivers are more aggressive than Wisconsin drivers, and
I think that's fair.
Kind of more tempo, I'd say. So, I don't know. I guess
tempo.
Tempo, urgency. Need for speed.
Walk me through, Will, how you would approach a four-way stop. Just because, well, yesterday I almost got hit 3 times when I was just trying to take a left turn. And I don't think it was on me.
Isn't there the order of operations? People always forget. It really upsets me. It's whoever's going straight first, and then right, and then left, right?
No, it's whoever shows up first.
Okay, well, maybe this is the problem with Chicago driver's ed. I guess I'm the prime example right here.
You're a problem too.
All right. So call into the show if you think this is incorrect or if you're a driving instructor. But the way that I was taught, Alex, and I want you to back me up on this, is whoever gets there first goes first, and then it goes counterclockwise. So if I pull up straight, the person I go, and then the person to my right goes, and then the other person, and it goes counterclockwise. That is the order of operation.
All right, here's the thing I always do. You know me, I'm not aggressive. I'm just I'm like a team captain, right? Leadership guy. When I pull up to a four-way stop and there's somebody at every angle, I'll just wave somebody through.
That's not the rule. But it's like, it drives me nuts with the zipper merge too. People don't know how to do the zipper merge.
That's very true.
You're not supposed to merge early. You're supposed to go all the way, and then you, me, you, me, you, me. People don't know how to drive. And this might be a Wisconsin thing too, No,
I think it's just a general thing. People just don't know how to drive. Now, I must say I'm guilty of this, Brian, because I almost got in a car accident yesterday. So I was driving down, what street was that? I don't remember which street it was. It was downtown Milwaukee. I was taking a left on a busy street. I think it was on Water and going on to Michigan. And, there was a car coming. I had to slam on the brakes. Thank goodness my girlfriend just got back from like a spa day. She was so zen, so relaxed.
She was chilling.
So the person that almost hit me, and I caused them to almost hit me, she pointed at me. They were yelling at me while pointing. And my girlfriend in her zen mode just went, well, she's not having a very good day. I'm like, yeah.
So anyway,
we almost didn't either. So I also don't know how to drive. I think
if you're buzzing around downtown Milwaukee today, I think the message is watch out for fibs, and cheer for the Brewers. As far as Craig Counsell goes, Alex, where do you stand on your vitriol meter? Because I feel like we were pegging the meter last year. Obviously, people were booing. Will, I guess jump in here. Were people still booing Craig Counsell at the ballpark this weekend?
Yes, they were. And another note on the Cubs fans, they were extremely obnoxious at the game, and this just goes to show.
Shocker.
Hey, this is how the Chicago baseball teams work. You go to a Cubs game to party and have fun. You go to a White Sox game to watch some hard-nosed baseball.
Or be miserable.
Just
one or the other.
Eliminate the nosed out of that sentence.
Yeah,
just some hard baseball.
Some hard baseball to consume, no doubt. When it comes to the Craig Counsell vitriol, it's probably less rude than it was a year ago, but it's still very existent. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I still don't It's not that I don't like him. I feel similarly to Kevin Durant. I'm going to land the plane here.
Okay.
So while the Milwaukee Bucks were not very good in the mid-2010s, I was also a supporter, and still am, really, of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right? They were my other basketball team.
That's odd.
My first job in sports media was working for a website where I wrote about the Oklahoma City Thunder.
You're a Thunder beat guy?
Beat is strong because I lived in northeast Wisconsin, but I wrote about the Thunder. So I just kind of wrapped my arms around them and kind of called them my second team or my other team, and they were the only good one, so really just my team. They played enjoyable basketball at the time. And when Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City for Golden State, it was just a big FU to Thunder fans, right?
Yeah.
You blew a 3-1 lead to that team in the Western Conference Finals, and now you're going to join them?
My next chapter.
My next chapter, indeed. Well, a good memory. With Craig Counsell, it was he knew he wasn't going to have the resources here, fine, but he built a competitive team year after year, right? He's a really good manager. He still is. I'm not going to take that away from him, despite the fact that I hate that. He could have gone to New York with his buddy David Stearns. He could have been the new manager of the Mets. He could have gone to the Astros. He could have gone to the Dodgers. He could have gone to any good team.
Mm-hmm.
But he went to the Cubs. And as a Whitefish Bay guy, as a Milwaukee guy who both played and then managed the Brewers, that just still feels to me like such a big no-no and such a middle finger to the community and the fans that supported you your entire life. So, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
You could have gone to 28 other teams.
He knew what he was doing for sure.
Yeah.
Right? And I think he probably spun it at the time as, well, I can stay close to home and my family doesn't have to sell the house and all this stuff, right? And all of that may be true, but he knew what he was doing. I think he wanted to get the Brewers organization back in some way for not investing in him and in the team in the way that he thought they needed to in order to win a World Series. And that still exists, right? And that should still exist. And I think the vitriol should and can still exist for Brewers fans. Brad Nortman from Kyle Brust to Nortman said earlier this week that the vitriol is kind of gone and he's over it. I couldn't disagree more with that sentiment on Craig Counsell. I think people should boo him until the end of time. And if the Cubs get good this year and win the division, I hope that doesn't happen, but I'll be rooting them to lose every single round of the playoffs and do so in dramatic fashion because that's the way that sports should work.
The unbelievable stuff from Brian D this morning. He's on fire, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to be even better coming up next because I haven't told him what I have planned. We're going to talk about sports we don't normally talk about on this show. Sunday Karma brought to you in part by our friends at Gruber Law Offices. Gruber Law Offices, premier injury law firm here in the state of Wisconsin for over 35 years. David Gruber and his team at Gruber Law Offices have been serving you, the people of Wisconsin. They are Wisconsin's injury law firm. If you or somebody you know or love has been injured in an accident, there's only one place to go, and that is Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices. Gruber Law Offices, one call, that's all. Sports we don't talk about. Next, Sunday Karma in ESPN Wisconsin.
More Sunday Karma coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Finish your outdoor wood projects with Cabot Premium Wood Care products. Australian timber oil is an exterior stain that provides maximum penetration, durability, and water repellency, making it ideal for decks, siding, outdoor furniture, and more. Save big money at Menards on Cabot Premium Wood Care products. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
It's the best time to be a basketball fan. All the thrills and playoff drama. Done sitting on the sideline and ready to win some real cash? Check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. Hey, it's ESPN Wisconsin's Alex Stroh. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes all of the other daily fantasy competition. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6, plus even more cash if you outscore the competition. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code WKTI. That's code WKTI for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman, here to tell you about my friends at Bank 5-9. Everywhere I go throughout the area, I see Bank 5-9, and it's no wonder why. Not only do they have 14 branch locations, but their employees spend nearly 9,000 hours each year volunteering in the communities that they serve. That's on top of the financial support that they provide to several hundred nonprofits right here in southeastern Wisconsin. If you're looking for a true local community bank, check them out today at bank59.com. Member FDIC.
For your next night out, revel in the fusion of artistry and flavor with Sushi at St. Kate, offering guests an elevated experience where freshness and creativity converge in every bite. St. Kate the Arts Hotel introduces an exciting new sushi menu to its culinary repertoire. Indulge in the finest seafood, freshest ingredients, and expert craftsmanship for an inspired and delectable dining journey. Experience the art of sushi at St. Kate and learn more at stkatearts.com.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
It's ESPN Wisconsin's Ben Bruss talking about our friends at Road America, America's National Park of Speed. Get out of your house this summer and go to Road America, located conveniently between Green Bay and Milwaukee and Elkhart Lake. Come see a race at the legendary 4-mile, 14-turn road circuit that has hosted some of the best races since 1955. Spring Vintage Weekend with the SVRA is up next on May 16th through the 18th. Camp on site all weekend and enjoy free admission for kids 16 and under with a paying adult at the gate. Come for the experience and stay for the race. Get your tickets at roadamerica.com.
Make plans to stop by Third Ward Beer Garden at Catalano Square. Experience Milwaukee's favorite beer garden, the perfect spot to meet up with friends in the Third Ward. Open Wednesday through Sunday with live music Thursday through Saturday. Good times and great vibes await at Third Ward Beer Garden.
Right now, more than 100,000 children waiting in foster care need our help. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is focused on finding them safe, permanent homes. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
This is Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
If you wanna believe that anything can stop me, don't show up, don't come out.
Sunday Karma live from the MS Walk at the Summerfest grounds on a beautiful Sunday morning. I'm Alex Strope alongside the great Brian D.
Great.
Yeah, you're pretty great.
Sports we don't normally talk about was the way that you tease this segment.
That's correct, yes.
Croquet?
No croquet.
Badminton? Like,
No,
what are
no.
we doing here?
The 151st Kentucky Derby last night, which is the best 3 minutes in sports. I'm not I'm done arguing against horse race. I love horse racing. It helps I won some money yesterday. But it was electric, man. Muddy course, late finish. I don't know how to say the name of the winning horse, no matter how many times I've seen it.
The name of the winning horse is
I think it's Sovereignty.
Sovereignty?
Is that how you say
it? They don't teach you the word sovereign at Stevens
No,
Point?
Sovereign, I knew. But then it's like EIGNTY.
It's Sovereignty.
Okay,
It's
so
just
that's
a word.
that's the horse that won. Second Kentucky Derby win for the jockey.
By the way, the headline on ESPN.com right
Yes.
now is Sovereignty outduels journalism to capture Derby, which I think is funny. I was actually watching that with esteemed Milwaukee Bucks beat writer Eric Name yesterday, and he was passionately rooting for journalism because
He's
obviously he's a journalist. Yeah,
Okay,
so,
that's fair. Journalism was the favorite.
It's a big day
Sovereignty.
for journalism.
Well, I saw Tom Fernelli, a longtime journalist, tweeted, "Sovereignty beats journalism, tale as old as time."
Sure does.
Which made me laugh. But nonetheless, so Sovereignty won. Put $5 on Sovereignty, won 40. So that was a nice little tip for our waitress last night, which worked out nice. But I've never really gotten down with the Kentucky Derby. I just don't really understand it. But last night, after hanging things on walls and getting the apartment I just moved into all nice and furnished, I sat down and watched it. Dude, it's electric.
So Churchill Downs is one of the coolest sporting experiences I've ever had. I was the best man in my best friend from high school's wedding.
Okay.
And we decided to do Louisville for his bachelor party. And it was the week after the Derby, so next weekend, theoretically, at Churchill Downs. Churchill Downs is enormous. It hosts like 300,000 people at capacity. That's probably how many people were there yesterday. But if you go any other weekend, 150,000 people still go. So it's still electric, but it feels half full, and all the betting booths are accessible, and you sit out in the sun all day and drink mint and juleps and sip on bourbon and bet on the ponies. It's phenomenal. And it's relatively accessible from Milwaukee and Madison. Like, I would bet it's a 5.5, 6 hour drive tops. So the Derby's great. But yesterday, that's the fun part that I feel like people don't recognize either. There were probably 15 horse races yesterday, right? Like they run a race every half hour from like 10 a.m. until 6 o'clock. So it's just an awesome, awesome thing, like for a spectacle. And a lot of people dress up for it, right? I actually drove past the Iron Horse Hotel here in downtown Milwaukee yesterday right after the race. People were letting out and dressed to the nines in suits and dresses and hats and that kind of thing. It's a spectacle. It's fun. If you treat it like an event as opposed to just the best 2 minutes in sports, it's a really, really enjoyable thing to do.
The other sport that I've been watching, you're an expert in.
Okay.
Brother, I'm all in on the puck.
Oh, yeah.
So Tuesday night it was, after the Bucks lost, I flipped on one of the hockey. It was the Kings. So it was the Oilers and the Kings on Tuesday. I'm an Oilers fan, by the way. I should probably know that. Connor McDavid, that's the end of my list. But was watching that series, was watching that night was the Devils and the Hurricanes, which was that great double overtime game.
Yeah.
So sitting on the couch, this was a Friday night, and my lovely girlfriend goes, can we not watch basketball? Can we watch hockey?
Absolutely.
So she's got me in on the puck. Now, I don't know a ton about the NHL. I think partially because there's not an NHL team in Wisconsin. So it's never really been the top of my list, right? But you play hockey. You grew up playing hockey. You still play hockey.
Yep.
I've watched the NHL playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs before, and they're always exciting. It seems like they always provide just about as well as any other postseason in sports. But, dude, it seems like it's extra good this year, right? High-scoring games, quick-scoring games, fast, and obviously hockey's so fast-paced and so fun.
There's been a bunch of game sevens in the first round of the playoff here, which is great. I do wonder if people like you and some of our fans are more locked into it this year because of how good that Four Nations tournament was a couple of months ago.
I think it helps.
Where we had that unbelievable USA-Canada game in the gold medal round or the championship round of that tournament, right? And it turned people on to, oh my God, hockey's fun. These guys, there's nothing like the intensity of some of these high leverage game sixes and game sevens just because everybody's going 1,000 miles an hour. And the NBA does it pretty well come game seven, but there's still moments in the first and second quarter where it feels a little slow and guys are taking the air out of the basketball and trying to make the right plays. There's none of that in hockey. It is 1,000 miles an hour for 60 minutes and sometimes more. And I think there's nothing comparable in sports in terms of the speed and intensity of some of these playoff hockey games. And it's only going to get higher leverage for the next couple of months.
Are you a Buffalo Sabres fan then?
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry to hear that. They're really bad, aren't they?
They haven't made the playoffs since 2011 in a league where half of the league makes the playoffs.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's been tough sledding.
Your fandom is fascinating to me. So it's Buffalo for the Bills and the Sabres.
Yep.
Then baseball, you're a Brewers fan?
Yeah, I spent, like I alluded to earlier in the show, I spent my middle and high school years in Cleveland, so I root for the Guardians and the Brewers kind of equally.
That's AL/NL, though. I'll allow it. And there's life stuff involved with that. And
Cavs-Bucks is where things get a little
dicey.
A little interesting for me. I've become a Bucks fan.
Okay, but are you rooting for the Cavs now that the Bucks are eliminated?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, we will dive into the NBA playoffs as we have our Palermo's picks coming up next. I also have a bone to pick with the normal host of the show, Craig Karmazin.
Oh, wow.
Coming up next in regards to our Palermo's picks. So we will dive into all of that as we wrap up Sunday Karma. We are live at Walk MS at the Summerfest grounds. Just gets you excited for summer, doesn't it, when you're sitting here outside of the Briggs and Stratton big backyard where everything's set up for just an awesome event. Walk MS, the annual walk here at the Summerfest grounds. I'm all fired up for summer, baby. It feels like summer, except it's cold under the tent we're in.
You think they'll crack open Major Goolsby's for us for a major cheeseburger here?
I would love that.
At noon, 12:05.
Now that would really feel like Summerfest.
We might have to make it for ourselves.
I trust you behind the grill, I think. Maybe.
You should.
Player Most Picks coming up next as we wrap up Sunday Karma live from the Summerfest grounds here on ESPN Wisconsin.
More Sunday Karma coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
The excitement is building for Walk MS. Join in and be part of an unforgettable display of support and love surrounding people with multiple sclerosis. It takes a whole community to end this disease. This May, all over the state, witness firsthand the MS community coming to life like never before, including on Sunday, May 4th at the Summerfest grounds for Walk MS Milwaukee. Visit walkms.org today and plan to join us around Wisconsin. That's May 4th at the Summerfest grounds.
Escape the city and relax at Lake Lawn Resort in beautiful Delavan, Wisconsin. Enjoy outdoor activities on Delavan Lake. Tee off at the lakeside Majestic Oaks Golf Course or unwind at the award-winning Calidora Spa. With both indoor and outdoor pools, there's fun for the whole family. Take a cruise on the Lake Lawn Queen. Explore stunning shores and historic landmarks and enjoy delicious food and drinks on board. Book your stay today at lakelawnresort.com, where everything is better at the lake.
Seriously injured? Call Gruber Law Offices today.
This is Kyle Bruston Nortman's Brad Nortman. You hear me talk about Carbless and their refreshing flavors all the time. One of my favorites is watermelon, and Carbless just dropped the Watermelon Vodka Cocktail 4-pack. Perfect for chilling, grilling, or game day thrills. You know the drill. Zero sugar, unlimited flavor. Enjoy clean, crisp refreshment without the guilt. That's what Carbless does. Find the new Watermelon 4-packs wherever you get your Carbless. Crack open the taste of summer and get your bliss on.
Buying and selling a home can be a stressful process. Hey, it's Jen Latta from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. The We Sell group at Keller Williams has a goal of making it stress-free for everyone. Their passion is people, their availability is unmatched, something I'm experiencing firsthand while I search for a lake home to enjoy Wisconsin summers even more. Rob and Nick are there every step of the way, not just for their sellers, but also to potential buyers and their agents to bring in as many strong offers as possible. Get started today at wesell.kw.com. That's wesell.kw.com.
At Citizens Bank, community banking is you, growing your business with a partner who gets it. It's you, buying your first home with a lender who makes it easy. It's you, building a future with savings that work just as hard as you. And it's us, working together to strengthen our community. Because at Citizens Bank, community banking means you plus us. Visit us at citizensbankwi.bank. Citizens Bank is member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Attention, Milwaukee County. When it comes to stroke, every second counts. Remember to be fast. B-E-F-A-S-T.
B, balance. Are you having trouble with coordination or balance? E, eyes. Sudden blurred or double vision. Have you lost sight in one eye or both? F, face drooping. Is your smile lopsided or your face numb or drooping? A, arm weakness. Are you having difficulty reaching for things? Does your arm drift downward when placed in front of you? S, speech difficulty. Is it difficult to speak? Try saying, the sky is blue. Does that come out correctly? T, terrible headache. Are you having pain in your head? Experiencing more than one of these symptoms? Time to call 911.
Remember, recognizing these signs and acting fast can save a life. If you or someone you know experiences these symptoms, don't wait. Call 911 immediately. This message is brought to you by the Milwaukee County Office of Emergency Management. Stay informed, stay safe.
Your state, your teams, your ESPN. The ESPN Wisconsin app. Customizable just for you. Find the ESPN Wisconsin app in the Apple or Android app stores today. You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Next to me.
The Dua Lipa edition of Sunday Karma comes to an end. Alex Strofe, Brian D. hanging out with you live from Walk MS at the Summerfest grounds on a beautiful Sunday morning.
Great
here.
event, man.
First Sunday of May. Hey, by the way, speaking of first weekend of the month, Murphy's Take 5 came out yesterday.
Okay.
I think this is either the penultimate or third to last edition of Murphy Takes 5.
You just wanted to use the word penultimate.
That is correct. So I read it, and I should have started doing this a long time ago, but I've started doing it recently with Murphy's Take 5s. I just tweet out the takeaways I have because I love reading it because we know he's a comedian. He thinks he's funnier than he actually is. And he makes jokes and assertments and different things in them. Right, a couple months ago, it was him talking about the tush push and how much he hates it. So the takeaways from this month's Murphy's Take 5 are this from Mark Murphy, president and CEO, outgoing president and CEO of the Green Bay Packers. Number one, he said he does think the draft will return to Green Bay, but it will be a while because 20 teams, aside from the Packers, have submitted applications to host the NFL draft.
Yeah, and I think this year proved
anywhere can do it.
Exactly, right?
In terms of NFL cities.
Some of these northern cities, I'll throw this out for example. Buffalo's building a new stadium that I'm sure they're going to want to showcase.
Yeah.
And I think prior to this year, the NFL would have gone, there's no way we're putting a draft in Buffalo. Cleveland's the same way, right?
Yep.
And Cleveland is building, hopefully, a new indoor stadium outside of downtown in Cleveland that they're going to want to showcase. So I do think this year proved that markets like that are going to be able to host it going forward. Then you sprinkle in the international flair of the NFL. I bet you they'll take the draft to London soon.
Oh, that's actually a really interesting take by you that I like.
I bet they
haven't
will.
even thought about that.
I mean, we did a draft from Roger Goodell's basement.
Yeah, we could do it
anywhere. From anywhere, and you don't need to fly the guys in. But I bet prospects would want to go.
Oh, they'd want to go,
right?
I think you're right. That's a really good point by you.
It'll be international in the next 10 years.
It'll be international before it comes back to Green Bay.
Totally.
I think that's a really good opinion by you. The other takeaways from Murphy's Take 5 before we get to our Palermo's picks. He said it would be ideal if the Green Bay and Appleton airports worked together or condensed into one airport rather than competing against one another. He made an anecdote about how he needed to fly. I think it was to Washington, D.C. for league meetings. And he said one flight, so the meetings weren't until I think 3 p.m., right? One flight was out of Green Bay to Washington, D.C. at 5:15 a.m., so we would have gotten there way too early. The other option was a 5:20 flight out of Appleton. And those were the only two flights of the day. So he said these airports need to combine somewhere between Appleton and Green Bay.
What's his deal with airports? You remember last year before it was announced, it was probably about this time that the Packers were going to Brazil, and he made the excuse they couldn't go because the runway at Austin Straubel wasn't long enough to get their plane off the ground. What's the problem with that logic, Alex? The Packers fly everywhere every week out of Austin Straubel. If you can get the plane in the air, it's going to fly. It's fine. What a ridiculous thing to say.
He's a hilarious
By the way,
fan.
I bet you we get Dublin news this week.
We will.
Because the NFL schedule release
is a week from Tuesday, right?
Yes, correct.
Or a week from Wednesday?
Normally they start leaking out those international games prior. Obviously, our own Ben Brust has already reported it's going to be September 28th in Dublin against the Steelers.
He's reported. We'll find out if it's true.
We'll wait for confirmation of that this week.
The final takeaway before we get to our Palermo's picks from Murphy's Take 5. He talked about traveling to Green Bay and why people struggled with it, but he was still really impressed with the turnout. And he mentioned that there was no train service in Green Bay, despite Green Bay being the home to the National Railroad Museum. So they were my takeaways.
He's not wrong. There's not you can't take.
That does seem a little contradictory.
You can't take an Amtrak to Green Bay.
And why is the National Railroad Museum in Green Bay? I grew up there. I've been there. Cool little museum.
You're the Green Bay guy. You tell us.
Yeah, there's not a train there. The only train there is the little fun one at Bay Beach. So I'm not really sure. Anyway, all right, time to make our Palermo's picks, which of course are presented by Palermo's Pizza, which is what Brian D had for dinner last night.
Sure
right?
did. After a day of day drinking in downtown Milwaukee, came home, fired up the oven, and bang, Palermo's Pizza for dinner. It was delicious.
You've got 3 days left of this. You could score big savings at your local Woodman's. $5.99 Screamin' Sicilian pizzas. There's no limit. Seriously. So you can buy 10 of them for $60. How great of a deal is that? Great time to stock up on the favorites and taste what all this screaming woo is about. April 28th through May 6th at your local Woodman's stores. $5.99 Screamin' Sicilians. Woo! All right, we got a Game 7 in the NBA tonight. Rockets, Warriors, one of those teams could be in the Giannis Antetokounmpo competition. which of course is the Houston Rocket, the 2 seed in the Western Conference, the 7 seed, the Golden State Warriors. This game is in Houston. It's been a really fun back and forth series. Brian D., who you got? Game 7, Rockets Warriors.
I can't bet against Steph yet. I just can't do it. And I think part of me wants the Warriors to win just so we get T-Wolves Warriors in the next round, because I think that would be awesome to see the star power between Ant and Steph going back and forth in the ways that they do. It is fascinating, though, that every other part of the NBA bracket, you've got 1 versus 4 Thunder Nuggets, 1 versus 4 Cavs Pacers, 2 versus 3 Celtics Knicks in the Eastern Conference, and this could theoretically be 6 versus 7 with the T-Wolves taking out the Lakers and potentially Golden State taking out Houston tonight. So give me Steph and the Warriors.
I'm going to go the other direction, man. I think that crowd in Houston's going to be rocking for one of the most young, impressive teams in the NBA this year. I've been so impressed with what Houston's been able to do, but I expect a slobber knocker of a game tonight, this afternoon, it is tonight. They are the nightcap tonight in the NBA.
Catch it here on 94.5 ESPN in Milwaukee.
All right, a little radio action for us tonight in the NBA. Before we go, though, I need to talk about how unorganized Palermo's Picks has been recently with as we know, and as any avid listener to Sunday Karma knows, our host's a little inconsistent on the show. I was out for a majority of the month of April with other commitments on Sunday mornings. Craig is here and there. Scalzo's all over the place. He hasn't been on in a few weeks. So Craig, a couple weeks ago, implemented that we would pick every NBA series, and we would get points for selecting the winner correct and the amount of games the series goes correctly.
Didn't happen, huh?
Well, we don't know the updated scoreboard, and I don't know if it's, since I'm on the show today, it's my responsibility to text these guys about the next series coming up, but Craig was the one keeping track. I have no idea who's winning. I have no idea what's going on. I don't even know that we picked every series in the first round, other than the ones that were official prior to the play-in. So it's been a disaster. We don't pay off our bets on this show. Craig still needs to go to a diner for the 24-hour challenge.
Nobody's paid off a bet on this show since I got a Brazilian wax for losing the Palermo's Picks like 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. So
that's not fair. Jen also took the ACT.
That's true. Jen did take the ACT, but a year late.
Yep.
So we'll see. Maybe Craig will do that next year then. But my goal when Craig returns to Sunday Karma coming up next week is that we have an updated scoreboard of our NBA playoff predictions, which, by the way, we all picked the Bucks to win. So rip.
So nobody's got any points. We can start fresh.
Yeah, I also think Craig technically couldn't pick that series, so I think we all got to pick it, but Craig didn't. So I don't really know how that plays into the scoring. All I know is I had the Clippers in 7, so I was almost right, except that 35-point shellacking last night. So, oh well. Well, Brian,
prop bet for Cavs Pacers tonight before we wrap up.
Oh boy.
Does John Halliburton do anything on social media?
Yes. Over under 1.5 tweets. I'll take the over.
Yeah, me too.
Brian, thanks for being here. Thanks for holding down the ship with me this morning. A beautiful day at the Summerfest grounds for the annual Walk MS. An awesome turnout. The biggest turnout in Walk MS Milwaukee history, over 2,000 walkers, and that does not count all the four-legged friends that were here today. A big thanks to Will Summers for holding it down for us back at the Grubel offices. One Call That's All studio in downtown Milwaukee. Craig is back with me next week. We will talk to you then. This has been Sunday Karma. I'm Alex Stroh. Peace.
Bev Anderson has a big idea she wants to share.
Bev has been here for 24 years.
Hi, Bev. We're anxious to hear your idea.
Kessler's is 45 years old.